What is curriculum? Now, we spend a lot of time in education building curriculum. So it's important to take a look at what exactly we're expending so much of our time doing. So to get a definition, we're going to break the word into three parts and then expand each part into a full word, which would give us currying cultural umpires. So what is curriculum? Curriculum is currying cultural umpires. Let's look at the importance of those terms. First, currying. Currying is an idiom for propelling or agitating people in a certain direction. So when a student comes into a classroom, they're being propelled and agitated towards something. What are they being agitated towards? The current culture, the way culture is, the good and the evil about how culture currently exists, particularly what culture values as good and tries to expel as evil. And the students are being crafted into the umpires for the next generation. The teachers are elder statesmen of this culture, and they're going to pass on this responsibility to oversee culture to these young students. And they're looking for the students who will commit to upholding the good of the teacher's culture and expelling the evil. So curriculum forms students into cultural umpires for the next generation. And it's important to state that they're supposed to be upholding the current culture. Because to the teacher's perspective, the current culture is good, at least the portions that they adhere to. And they want the students to go out and be umpires to uphold that good and remove any of the evil. So how is curriculum created? Well, first, you must teach by cultural rules. All cultures have rules. They're neither good nor evil. They're just the rules that exist in that culture. And you must teach by those rules. Then you must help the students to measure by those rules. So rules have variance in them. How good is good? And when someone tries to do good, how close did they get? If the students can't assess that, if they can't measure how close they are to good, they can't make a ruling. They can't be an umpire. So there needs to be very clear lines on how to measure by culture's rules. Then the students must understand how do they reward by those cultural rules. You have many types of reward: financial, recognition, possessions. The students need to know what are the proper rewards for either following the good of culture or disobeying the good and becoming evil. And then as umpires, they can deal out those rewards or punishments accordingly. So curriculum trains the students into playing and umpiring culture's present game. So why is curriculum created? The first is to conform students. The teacher, with the best of intentions, is looking to conform the students to the good that currently exists in the culture. That's the intention. That then leads to the students conforming their own lives. Once the student's been conformed by the curriculum, the student goes out into their life and brings that same conformity. That leads to the student's lives eventually conforming culture as a whole. So the educational system sees the students as the means to perpetuate this good that exists in culture currently. That is the motive. Again, it's neither good nor evil. It's just a game that we've created within culture. The good or evil does not exist in the culture. The good or evil exists in the ones who created it. And the culture just perpetuates that game. So curriculum attempts to preserve the good from humanity's past. And the students are the umpires that go forth and give out the rulings on everybody who's playing the game in culture. Those rulings then determine who gets rewarded for being good and punished for being evil. Who then really creates the curriculum? Because the real foundation of good and evil isn't in the culture, but those who create the culture. So the person who creates curriculum is someone who's creating a game. And you need umpires for that game. It's just a game. It's culture. It's fun. It's something that we do naturally because it's something that expresses God's nature. God creates culture, so do we. So if you're creating curriculum, you're playing a role in that game, which is training the next generation of umpires. Then the individual who's creating the game is also positioning themselves as like the ultimate umpire, the one who truly knows what is good and evil. And again, this is not wrong or right, it's just a place that you have to take if you're going to create the game. Create this cultural game, sustain this cultural game, you need to be the ultimate authority, which would make you the ultimate umpire. But the third part here is where we as human beings diverge. If you're going to create a game, an umpire game, you also need to play it. And students get very aggravated at teachers that try to press them into a game, but the teacher oftentimes will not play the game, and that bothers the students. They sense something wrong about that, but they're not sure exactly what it is. The reason it's wrong is because God, the one who creates the ultimate cultural game that we call life, He created it, He umpires it, and strangely enough, He also came and played as a human being, and He won. So that's the standard that we all innately grasp. So when there's a teacher, a human teacher, who's creating a cultural game and recruiting umpires and trying to position themselves as the ultimate umpire, if they don't play, students do not like that. They just don't know why. But the reason a human being won't play their own game is because they might lose. In fact, they believe they will lose. So the best strategy is to create the game and umpire the game, but never to actually play. And the only person who's truly ever done this with perfection is God Himself. So our curriculum teaches students how to play humanity's game, but not God's. If you want to play God's game, if you want to even be an umpire in God's game, then you've got to join Him in creating. And that's something we're not willing to do because we're not going to win that game. Only God wins His game. And that's okay, but He allows us to play, He allows us to umpire, and He even allows us to participate in creating this cultural game that we call life.